I hate when that happens when you guys can't hear me. I think I saw like one or two people asking why I was going live. I'll do this for patron exclusive content, which comes out tomorrow. So, yeah, this is the weekly catch up. I'm basically just going to show you what I've been consuming this week on Spotify and YouTube, that kind of thing. I might talk a little bit about it, show some clips, that's about it. It's a much calmer version of what happens on Saturday. And so, yeah. How's everybody? Good morning from England. Cheers. All hail the mighty water bottle. Where did the green screen go? The green screen is off to my right. That was a little test experiment. I had ordered a green screen for those of you who haven't seen the video. And, which I imagine if you're someone who frequents Discord, you probably have seen, you've probably seen that live stream. But I don't know, the live streams are long, you might not have tuned in. Yeah, the green screen's off to my right. I ordered that just because it'd be useful to have. And so that was more of like me testing it out live than a regular occurrence. So I'm going to stick with this background as long as I can. I like this background quite a lot. So are you sick? No, not sick. Do I look sick? We can almost call that ASMR, if not for the hiss. I don't know. Alright. I stopped my homework for this. Oh, don't stop. The homework is more important. You can watch this tomorrow. It won't be live, but what does that matter, I suppose? Well, I suppose you can still interact with me if you're watching this live, but if you need to sleep, for all of those out there who are watching this alongside their pillow with their phone, please do go to sleep. I mean, this is going to be a relaxing live stream anyways, but it may go on for quite some time, and I'd prefer you get to sleep. You can watch this tomorrow. You have my okay to watch this tomorrow. Can you sing a song? That's something that that's sort of reserved for the Saturday live streams. And, you know, sometimes I just do a live where I just talk, sometimes I jam out, sometimes I perform some songs, you know, I just feel it out. But for these things, at least, it's more of like a calm hangout, if you will. Sort of like what I've been up to. So, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Just thought I'd respond to a few comments before jumping in. No thanks, I can sleep tomorrow. Alright. In which case, we should probably jump into this. So. Okay. If I just go back over here. Sorry. It takes a second to switch views. Okay. If we go there. Boom. There we are. Now I go to Spotify. Okay, great. So, let's start with this guy. I don't know what else there is except for this guy. I don't know how, but I encountered this song right here. And it reminded me of a bunch of songs that I used to listen to from my childhood. They all sort of had this, I don't know, they had this wistful otherness to them. I wish I could articulate it better. That's why I just named the playlist one of the songs. The overall feeling that this playlist matches is probably best summed up by this. Wait, let me give that a better intro. I used to listen to this song all the time, and I had no idea what song it was, because I was in the back seat, right? My parents are playing it, they're in the front seat, and I remember I don't know, I have this one memory of us driving, and it was like trees outside, and it was blue, and it was cold, and I had this playing, and it was like happy, and traveling, and big, but also somewhat sad, and, yeah, there are a lot of songs like that from my childhood. Songs that really mean a lot to me. But because they all have this sort of, one, I grew up with them too. They have this sort of otherness to them that I can't quite articulate despite my best efforts. And so I came across this song. And I was like, you know what? I ought to make this playlist. So it was originally... Okay, so like these first, what is this, 6? That looks like 7. Okay, so I think these first 7 songs were just off the top of my head, like the order in which I thought of them. Then after that, I get a little bit more tricky. It goes to some Elliott Smith. This one, which you know. This. And it goes into 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. A song I discovered off of David Casanata's Instagram. He posted an Instagram story of him dancing to this late at night. And I went, wow, what is that? It drew me in. So yeah, that's how I found that song. And then this was another one which Spotify recommended me. And I was like, yeah, I like this. Thanks, Spotify. A lot of times Spotify shows me a song and I'm just like, no, Spotify, what are you thinking? How dare you, Spotify? Not my musical taste at all. But every now and then, they go, here's one. And I go, oh, I don't want to like it, but I do. I don't know why I'm like presenting this pessimistic, not wanting to like songs, but still liking them. I enjoy any music I enjoy. There is no guilty pleasure music for me. I'll have you know. Okay, moving on. This song, you've heard this in the trailer for so many movies. They always use this in the trailer. Oh, I like this a lot. Now, the counterpart to this was actually in Wolf of Wall Street, and so I pulled it for this playlist, which I renamed Songs for a Film. I finally put the effort into actually giving it a name. This is a cover by Lemonheads, and it's a bit better for cinematic purposes because it's got better drums. When the drums kick in, it really kicks in. See? So the way that sort of... that works a lot better for a film. And I also added, you know, a few good ones. But back to this one. What else do I like? Okay, so we're there. This one. The title track, if you will. I figured that's the best way to sort of name this playlist because it's got this sort of moving otherworldliness, and it's like the Marrakesh Express, that name sort of has the same quality as the Grand Budapest Hotel. It's sort of this hyper reality. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it seemed to fit the sort of vibe that I was going with when creating this thing. So yeah. Then this. This is like the most easygoing, catchy song ever. Anyways, then this is a long one, but it's good. Around here, it starts to test your patience, but then, of course, it delivers. I mean, why else would you go that long unless it actually had a payoff? But so your ear starts to waver a bit, especially because I'm ADD, right? So I'll get distracted around like 3/4 way through the song, and then of course I don't know what it is, then all of a sudden my attention picks back up, because the song goes through many different places. They almost should have called this the Marrakesh Express, because it just moves to so many different locations. So anyways, I don't know. And then this one, I have to assume that when the whole George Floyd thing happened, that's what got this going for Alicia Keys, because it's utterly specific. So I wouldn't imagine that she had already written this. And for something like that to happen and be able to articulate it in song structure in the way that she did, it was truly a moment. Both contextually with everything that was going on when it came out, and also just as a standalone piece of music that is extremely gripping, almost more gripping than most of the music that I listen to. A lot of times melodically something holds my attention, but not so much message-wise, and that was not at all the case for this song. And so, yeah, this is in a few playlists that I made, I think. It's on the 4th of July playlist. It might end that playlist, but I'm not sure. It probably ends the playlist. And then it was just the most recent thing, because I think I was listening back to that playlist and I was like, oh yeah, this thing, I gotta add this to the well-made category. And the well-made is sort of like this relatively new songs that are good. It's sort of like Aidan's curated today, if that makes any sense. Stuff that me as a musician goes, wow, that's something. So anyways, I added that. Songs for film, just renamed. I added a few things, as I've said. And that's pretty much it when it comes to music. How you guys doing? What is your favorite decade for music? You know, that's an interesting question. Not in that I have an interesting answer for you, but it brings up a thought which occurred to me fairly recently. I might have been in Toronto when this happened, but I had never really thought about it before, which was music for me. A lot of the music that I was exposed to at an early age was music which was multi-generational. It spanned all genres of music and all concepts of what time it came out, right? So I sort of grew up thinking that each of the different genres were an age, and the more I started to look into it, as I got older, I realized, no, these things were happening at the same time, which blows me away because they're so different. And to think that, you know, two opposite ends of not even the same coin were coming out at once, it sort of just blows my mind that all this music came out all the time. And that's not so much the case for today, because you're not looking back at it with your favorites from the last few decades. It's like your favorites of today. And so you don't have that effect because there's no room to have that effect. It's recent music. It's come out recently. So yeah, I don't really have a favorite decade of music, but I sort of have the opposite. I have my favorites span the entire thing. So I don't have a favorite decade, but I have shock. I have that much. I have shock that all this music came out so close to each other. And there's no other room for it to come out. Like, if you look at it, you can only go back so far and be so recent. Like, there has to be a certain age where it makes sense, even just feeling it out in your brain, to go, oh yeah, that came out around that time. Because if you start getting back to like the 20s, you can't have each genre have its own region, because you get back to the 20s and, you know, it's the Rolling Stones in the 20s, and like that doesn't make sense at all. Do you understand what I mean? Like, each genre can't have its own decade, and so it only makes sense that it was coming out at the same time. But I had never thought about it before, because I grew up with that music, starting off at a young age where you don't really think about things as much as you do when you start to age a bit more. So, yeah, I have shock. I went on way too long with that tangent, but you guys are watching, so you must enjoy it. 1 thumbs down. Bold, sir. Okay. What do I want to look at next? Oh, yes! This is the part where I go into YouTube. By the way, these are sort of like live streams, and they're really only meant to be like these 5-minute check-ins, because they're sort of a substitute for a video, which would be like the patron exclusive content. So this is a lot more live stream form than I had intended. So in the future, these things may go down to just 5 minutes instead of however long this has been. It actually gives me a time. It's okay, so it's been like 23 minutes. Ridiculous. And then I have to shoot a video after this. I'm planning on making a video after this. Okay. I would answer some questions, but I've got to move on at 23 minutes. There's no time to spare. Okay. Boom. Okay. So, this is what I've been watching. Yeah, I've been looking into the DJI Mavic Mini drone. Here's why this drone is awesome. It's 249 grams with all the quality that you would expect from something which is much bigger and much more expensive from DJI. It is on par with the quality of some of their other bigger, more expensive, more complicated drones. And this one is 249 grams. Now, the reason I say 249 grams and I'm so specific and don't just say it's a lightweight drone is because 250 grams is where you start getting into the legality of flying drones. Basically, at this size, at this weight, this particular drone, you don't have to worry about flight restrictions as much. It goes into a gray area. So that's incredibly freeing for someone like me who knows nothing about any of that. Aside from it, like airports and stuff, which it shows you like areas you shouldn't be flying. It gives you a map in the actual app. You don't have to worry about flight. Obviously, you're not going to be like snooping in people's backyards. That's obviously don't do that. But in terms of like where you can fly this thing pretty much anywhere, which is awesome. And even though it's so small, it flies incredibly well. The footage is super high quality, and I, at least, looking at it on a big screen, I can't tell the difference between the DJI Mini and some of the other... I think I saw a Casey Neistat video on it, and some of the other bigger drones. So I've been looking into... I'm planning on getting this. Oh, this was interesting. Okay, so, and you can see the DJI Mini there. The Grand Budapest Hotel, these clips right here require a bit of explaining. So, where is it? Is it really that far back? I'm sure I've seen... Okay, basically, I watched a video that explained the various types of camera moves. There's the static shot, which is what you're looking at now. The camera doesn't move. There's the push-in, where it pushes in and it pulls out. Zoom-in, which is the same thing, but it's done with the lens instead of a dolly move. There is pans and whip pans and tilts up and tilt down and dolly up, and all these different types of camera moves that make up how you shoot a scene. And I'd never... It's like new. It's a new vocabulary for me, so it was really interesting. So sort of practicing watching something, getting immersed in the film, and then breaking it down. So for these two clips, it was actually on Halloween. I recently rewatched the Grand Budapest Hotel on Halloween. I told you guys I was going to watch a movie with my parents, and I don't know, we saw like a breakdown on YouTube of like the behind the scenes of it, and we were like, we should watch this again, and so we did. So yeah, I went back to this and I just broke down the shots in my head of like what it is, what this shot is, and this, and the pan, and then why they did that, and how it plays into the comedy. And it's really cool for me because I've never thought about it in this way. So yeah, it was cool for me. That's why those two things are there. This is a really cool light. This is an LED light, which basically means it can give you any color you want, and it's super bright and super lightweight and durable, and it bends. It's a small LED light. So I have a big bulky light lighting me right now, and it's big. It's really big. It's probably like it's a 4-foot box all around, you know. That's sort of the proportions of it, and then it's like tall. So the whole thing takes up quite a lot of space, and it's a hassle, right? So this is a much better light. It's much smaller, can do much more. It's much more durable. It's just better. This was an interesting video. This was, can you actually see the difference between 1080 versus 4K? This guy basically said, from his point of view and all of his other filmmaker friends who would know, looking at it on great quality displays, they can't see the difference in resolution. So resolution is likely more valuable for things like movies and stuff where it's going to be scaled up drastically, because you really, in order to see the difference, need to pixel zoom and go in really close. And I don't know what the resolution of my computer is. I don't know what it is exactly. I assume it's at least 1080. I don't know what it is, but I couldn't see the difference. So down-resed, it doesn't make any difference. And he's saying, looking at it through a great monitor, you can't see the difference at all, which is always, that's incredibly interesting to me, because, and he even compared like 4K to 720, and you couldn't spot the difference. So yeah, it just sort of debunks, more so than debunks, it explains what resolution actually is and where it is actually valuable. So you don't need to be shooting like these giant file-sized videos. In fact, you only need to be shooting at higher resolutions if you want to go in and crop something where you need those extra pixels, because otherwise you're really not going to see it. And so that was really cool to me. That's the drone. This is really cool. Kevin James has a YouTube channel that I'm sure at least some of you are familiar with. It's hilarious. I just discovered it. Me and my family are cracking up over it. We're having a good time. That's just that was sort of like a compilation of different scenes and a bit of music from this movie called, it's one of my favorite movies. Mitty. The movie is called Mitty. Please go watch that if you haven't already. Ooh, what an incredible film. And you know, like, I wouldn't expect it to be on people's like top 10 movies, but it should be. It definitely makes that list for me. It's a hidden gem as they come. There Will Be Blood. I watched that recently, so that holds newfound funniness. Yeah, that's been fun. That's the that's what the light looks like, if you're wondering. It's the small mat. I'm going through like a little bit of a Jack White phase, and if you look at them live, it is so much better than anything recorded. Like, if you look at these versions of these, especially this video right here, it's the best version of the song I've ever listened to. And me, having listened to these songs over and over and over again for a few years now, it was like they were brand new for me. So yeah, that was awesome. Please check out some White Stripes live, and Jack White too. A bit of SNL, you know, because it's funny and entertaining, and I like to relax. And, oh, this was a, interesting thought. I'm learning various things in math, by the way. This was an interesting thought that Apple was going to be making their own search engine, which I am both intrigued by and, not quite sure how to think. I use Google, but I do really love the interfaces that Apple puts forth, so I'm excited for that whenever it may or may not come out. And then there was something else. Where did it go? It was, you know what it was? It was called Rude Buddha. I don't know why it doesn't show up here, but it was, I wanted to show you guys this. It was my favorite SNL skit that I've seen recently.
Over 2,000 years ago, a man known as Buddha attained enlightenment while sitting beneath a banyan tree. Buddha had another son, the tales of Rude Buddha.
Yes. And my favorite part is this ending. You gotta see this ending.
What is the sound of one hand clapping?
I don't know. What is the sound of one?
Ah! Oh, I love that so much. I don't need to explain why I love that so much either. That's just hilarious. It's just hilarious. Reminds me of why I love SNL. Ay. So that pretty much, it's funny that we ended on that clip. Yeah, that concludes this this bit of exclusive content. I'm gonna go shoot a YouTube video for Saturday now. So, yeah. I observe the delay. All your laughs are coming in now. Alright. Sounds like you've been singing a lot. Not really. Not really. Kinda, not really. More guitar playing than singing. I'll probably do a bit of that off camera once I stop this live stream, but yeah, I don't know. I've been doing a couple of things. A lot of internet researching, just various gear, that sort of thing. So, yeah. I'm not going anywhere with this. Sort of just, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm here. That's about it. It's about as much as I know. And with that, we're gonna conclude this live stream. I'm going to sign off now. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Go to bed. Get some sleep. Those of you who are watching this irresponsibly, you know who you are. I wish you sweet dreams. A couple hours, I'll probably get some sleep as well. Gonna look forward to that. Perhaps we'll dream together. Good night. Bye, everybody. And good morning to the people watching this tomorrow. Bye.